What's up everyone, Gids here for another video on Crystal of Atlan, and the long-awaited guide for the Scytheguard is here. So I'm a Scytheguard main, so in this video I'm going to be breaking down all the Scytheguard skills, abilities, all my settings as well, keybinds, camera settings, setups, and of course the PVE and PvP skill builds. I also have one for support. So yeah, stick around if you actually want to learn that. If you're not a Scytheguard main, please don't stalk us. Anyways, let's go. First things first, training ground. So if you go to your settings, not settings, but in your adventure tab, there should be in the challenge tab, there is training ground. So if you haven't done this yet, please, I encourage you guys to do this because it gives you like the basics of everything about the Scytheguard. Okay, so yeah, let's go over the skill build first. Let's start with a PVE DPS. Okay, so these are my skills. Okay, so I use these two up here. Reason why I'm using them is because low cooldown abilities are really good and they give me the dark marks. I will call them just dark and light, okay, for the marks, because it's hard to call them new moon and full moon because I sometimes get confused with them, because new moon is basically nothing, right? And then full moon is well, light. So yeah, well, I still get confused. But anyways, this ability right here, I like using it. It is very short ranged, but it's really good for single target, which is primarily used for bosses, and it's a 6-second cooldown, which I like because I get to spam it onto enemies. Okay, then this one as well, you can use this one 2 times if you have this passive activated right here. Okay, so this one hits in a circular area around you, which is pretty nice. Of course, you take all the passives. Okay, if you didn't know about this thing right here, so whenever you're wearing heavy armor or flex armor, basically almost all legendary armor right here that we have are flex armor. So you get actually some stats, passive stats from all of them. I think this passive is automatically enabled. Okay, this thing, damage rest and Mistmon technique, damage bonus. Always try to max this out. This is just your upward slash and downward, and then special recovery, and then dash. Okay, this is your passive, which gives you damage increase and healing whenever you use the light or dark stacks that you have. You can also do dual moons, which is basically full stacks. So 6 stacks of light and dark gives you both of them. I'll teach you how to consistently be able to get 6 stacks every single time as well later on. Okay, and then this one, triple sight, really good damage and high AoE ability, 22-second cooldown, pretty nice as well. So yeah. And then this one is just enhancing the effect of 6 stacks passive. And then this ability is just really good for the damage, like straight up damage. And then it gives you light, 2 stacks of light if you actually upgrade this one. And it has healing as well, by the way. Yeah, so this one actually does healing, so it's really nice. Next up, this ability right here gives you 1 light and 1 dark. It has huge AoE. You can actually use 2 modes on it. So new moon is basically, wait, this is light, right? Light is going to give healing, and then full moon is going to give damage or do damage, right? And then whirling death is just a good damaging ability with new moon mark. And then this one also is kind of dangerous to use when you're in temper trials because you get to pull a lot of enemies with you. It has a drag with it, so be careful with using that. It might grief your runs. Okay, and of course you max your ult. Have this passive right here that makes my Mist Moon technique, meaning our passive, our stacking abilities, work on teammates. But this one removes that ability, so it will not work on teammates, but it works on yourself, and the increase, or there's an increase on the passive effects to 120%. So huge damage increase and huge damage or huge healing, but only to yourself. Okay, so solo play, yes, and of course if you're doing DPS, just give it to yourself, right? Don't care about the teammates. And then this one is the Soul Link ability. So you get to link multiple enemies that get hit and they get to share damage. So very strong ability, and also gives you 1 light and dark marks. And then finally, we have this ability here. Huge AoE, huge damage ability, 1 full moon or 1 light mark. And then of course your ulti. Your ultimate gives you also a passive or a buff that increases the passive stats that you get from this one. So damage increase again from this thing, and yeah, it drops orbs that you can use for your stacks. Okay, your light and dark stack. Okay, so let's get to more specific stuff here. So Let's summon enemies. Enemy 1 and enemy 2. Okay, so again, this is... I don't know what the skills are called, man. Soul Link. Okay. Soul Link, again, if you hit one enemy, you'll see this thing on top of their heads. So if you link multiple enemies, they share damage with each other. So if I hit this guy, look, we're also basically hitting the other guy. Okay? So keep that in mind. Although when it comes to when it comes to dungeons anyway, we just spam our skills, right? So we don't really take note of that, but it's pretty important to actually take note. And then here we have 6 stacks, right? 6 stacks, you just left click and you get this passive right here. So it says loneliness here because this is only for you, so it's 24%. So if we actually remove the loneliness bonus, which you want to do if you're trying to play for the team. So let's get our stack in. Okay. Let's wait for it to reset. Okay, now we use it. Okay. The bonus is lower, 11%, but this one is shared throughout the whole team. So 20-second buff for the whole team, which is really nice. Really good for team play. Really bad if you're selfish, but I'm selfish right now because I'm the DPS. I'm not a support XD. But yeah, if that's how you want to play it, that's how you want to play it, right? Okay, so let's try to get more efficient with using our light and dark stacks. Okay, so full moon and new moon stacks. Okay, so whenever you're casting a skill, right, you already understand this. You're giving stacks on whichever ability you're using. So they are already labeled, or they have like icons on your ability. So this means I have a full moon stack and if I press left click, I get heals. Okay, now if I go for the dark one, okay, we use all the dark skills. Now, if I left click this one, I get a damage buff, which right now gives me 20% because we have the loneliness bonus, right? So now, how can you consistently get dual? Because getting dual is actually much better because you get like more from it, like more healing and more damage as well. So this is full. So if I left click, okay, the damage that we get is 24%. Okay, I mean, it's a 4% increase, which is already good from a min-maxing standpoint. But there's actually a way for you to be able to consistently do this. Okay, so this has something to do with my keybinds. Well, you can also just fix your keybinds for yourself, right? But the reason why I have a right mouse button over here is because whenever you use a skill, and that skill is on cooldown, if you keep repeating or keep pressing that skill button, your character is going to do a basic attack. For example, we're gonna do R, okay? Okay, all our abilities are on cooldown. So if I press R, okay, I press R again, uses all the abilities, and if I keep pressing R, my character is just gonna keep doing basic attack. So it's good to keep this in mind because a lot of players tend to stop doing basic attack if they are trying to actually maximize 6 stacks, full 6 stacks, but you don't really have to do that. That's the reason why I have mine on right mouse button, because I just get to spam my right clicks. And now my right click is like my basic attack. Okay? So whenever my skills on the right mouse button is on cooldown, I just get to spam my basic attacks. Right? So that's pretty good, pretty nice to actually use, and then you get to left click once your buffs or your stacks are full. So yeah, it's a pretty nifty trick right there to always maximize your stacks right here. Okay, so now let's talk about my PVE support build. So the only thing that changed here is that I removed the skill that's really good for single targets and bosses and changed it with this ability right here, which gives you a lot of damage resistance. So this gives you a barrier, but if you upgrade it to this skill, it becomes an aura and removes the barrier, no more damage. But the AoE becomes massive. So look at this AoE. So everyone within this circle gets a damage reduction buff, which is 28%. Huge, actually huge. So it increases the survivability of your team by so much. Also, you have to remove this. You have to remove this if you are a support, because again, you want your buffs to be applied on all teammates and not just yourself. Especially if you're not dealing a lot of damage anyway, you can just sacrifice the extra 100% bonuses on yourself and share it with your teammates. And I mean, team-wide buff is so much better because that's like 11% bonus damage on everyone. So that's 4 players being affected instead of a 24% for yourself. But if you're confident in your damage, like, why not, right? Still get it. But anyways, that's pretty much it. That's the only difference that you will see in my damage abilities here. I think I forgot to show you the configurations, but here's the configurations for this one. So it's almost the same as the DPS one. So DPS, basically you're just switching between the barrier and the sight ability, right? This ability right here. So basically same setup. You want your stacks, or you want your light abilities on one side and dark abilities on the other side as well, so that you don't get confused on what to press. Of course, some abilities give 2. So this ability this thing gives 2, this gives 1-1, this gives 1-1, this gives dark, this gives light. I think this is double light. No, this is double light. Oh yeah, this one gives dark. Okay, so you just have to be familiar with your placement so that you don't get confused on which stacks you are actually needing. Okay, so yeah, this is the keybinds that I'm more comfortable with. That's why those are there. But if you have different setups, that's fine as well. Okay, now on to the PvP part. So skill first. So these are my PvP abilities. This is really good. This thing has been nerfed hard actually from what we had in the what you call this CVT, because this is 10-second cooldown. -3, is it? Yeah, okay, so it's 7 seconds cooldown now if you actually get this one, but this was like 4-second cooldown before. So yeah, actually in PvP it's nerfed harder. So 13 seconds in PvP, which is sad, but it's a really good engage ability with medium SA, weak armor break. Did you know this thing was at medium armor break before? So it was so OP, man. Anyways, yeah. You get to use this ult because in PvE, this is okay in PvE, but you cannot use your Ultra Awakening in PvP anyway. So yeah, you get to use this one. And then, of course, get all your passives. We get the triple sight upgrade as well on this one because there was a tech on this one on CVT as well, but it got patched. So, oh well, unlucky. But anyways, yeah, this is a really good one. Use it defensively or use it offensively, up to you, right? You get to use triple sights, which covers a lot of ground. So makes enemies hesitate in trying to engage you. Next, your most powerful ability when it comes to PvP, medium SA, medium armor break. So you get to cast this as a counter to when an enemy tries to engage you. You only get to counter abilities that are weak super armor though. So if you haven't learned medium SA or armor break and super armor mechanics, I'll make a video on PvP soon for you to understand that. Okay, of course, you get all your passives again. Then this one, a very good ability for shooting down enemies. So whenever people are jumping in the air, you get to hit them with this, they instantly drop down. Okay? And yeah, this one also gives healing, but you don't really need it. I think you can actually just level this down and try to level up a different ability, but it's fine, right? And then this thing, I like taking this ability just because of the AoE that it provides again. Gives you a lot of space, especially if you're out of stamina. It discourages your enemies to actually try and engage you. Next, one of my favorite abilities, you get to ride the Scythe or your marionette and move. This thing has medium SA, so you're pretty much unstoppable once you've ridden your marionette, right? If you press shift, you get to cancel the ability as well. It has a very long duration, so yeah, you can actually catch enemies off guard with this ability. And then, of course, get your ult. It has super SA and medium armor break. Really good for finishing people off. And then another one of my favorite abilities, Soul Link. So this one has very fast animation. So it just knocks down an opponent instantly if you get to hit them. And finally, another ability that has really good range and really good damage as well. Okay? So yeah, passives, of course, you take this one because you're solo in 1v1 PvP anyways. Okay? So when it comes to PvP, something that you want to understand is that there's energy costs. So if you look at your skills and the PvP effect, there are energy costs right here. And the thing about energy that you want to understand is that as long as you have at least one energy, you get to cast even a 70 energy cost ability. So ult is 70 energy cost, right? So that uses 40, And then this uses 30. I have 10 left, but I can still ult. Right? So I can still ult. So you want to keep that in mind when you're trying to do PvP. So you want to understand which skills actually use a lot of energy. It's usually the ults, right? This one's 60. This one as well is 60 for healing, 25 for damage only, right? 25, like 30, 20, and then 35, right? So the highest energy abilities are usually the ults and the ones with heals. Okay, so you want to keep that in mind because once you're in PvP, the high abilities or high damage abilities with high energy cost, you can reserve that for the last part of your combo. Another thing that you want to understand when it comes to PvP is that I'm going to use right click here again for my basic because that's what I want. But when it comes to knocking up enemies with basic attack, you can only knock them out for 2 rotations of your basic. Only 2 rotations, full rotations of basic attack for the knockup. Okay, so it's 1 rotation and then 2 rotation, and then you have to get out because they're gonna fall. Now the technique is that you want to put in an ability in the middle of this, right? So you're doing basic 1. This is your first rotation. You add in a skill and then you do it again. So it actually resets. But of course, you have to keep in mind the HP threshold. So if you hit that, they're just gonna fall down instantly anyway. Okay? Alright. Let's talk about abilities and engages. Okay? So first engage that I like is Soul Link into your engage ability right here. So double jump, Soul Link, and then dash in if you're far away. And then you start doing your double basic. Double basic rotation. Can hit 1 more and then get out. Okay? It doesn't do a full one, but okay, that's where this comes in. So if we downgrade this and then we reset everything, so we do it again, this one actually uses less energy and now you get to use more skills and you're for sure gonna get down to the first HP threshold. Okay, that makes sense. But you're losing out on the healing, which I think is fine. No? I think it's fine. This might be my new config now. This might be my new config. I actually like it more. Alright? And then of course, your other engage is basically just using this thing right here. And again, the reason why I have it on right mouse button is because it's so much easier to aim. And you can use this as a follow-up. So many abilities that you can do for follow-up. You can use this and then triple sight. You can use this so that you just secure the area if ever you get them to the threshold. So the combos is just up to you now at this point. The Q ability here, I don't know what it's called. I should learn what they're called. This thing. So, what's it called? Flurry. Okay? Flurry can be charged in PvP. So, you can try to bait enemies to actually hit you. So, you just stand around there. Or if you know that they have an engage, you can actually press Q and hold it. Okay? While you're holding, it's gonna drain your stamina. But while you're in that state, you actually have medium SA, right? Medium super armor and medium armor break. So if they come close to you with an ability with weak super armor, you get to hit them with a grapple. And then you just follow it up with other abilities, right? So yeah, that's one of your defensive plays. One of the defensive plays that you can do, which is really, really nice. Alright, so that's pretty much it. That's all the tech that I can share to you right now with PvP. The rest you learn from experience, really, right, for the combos and whatnot. So this is my current configuration right now. Now let's go over our keybind settings. So keybinds, WASD, Z for the dodge because I rebounded this from right mouse button, right? So now we have space, basic attack, QER, right click, and then finisher is T, and then cancel of, if you didn't know, if you're aiming, because whenever you're aiming, you cannot really use your camera. So if you're aiming and the enemy goes off screen, you can just press your middle mouse button to cancel, right? So if you're not hitting anything, cancel it with middle mouse button. Forgot to tell you guys that. Anyways, yeah, you have your lock with tab. You can also take this out when it comes to 1v1 PvPs. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Camera settings, I have 3D RPG camera. Auto lock on is on. Auto centering, I turned this one off because it gets annoying. I mean, even auto lock on might be annoying sometimes, but sometimes it's really okay to use. Then target entities out of range, which is pretty okay. And then last part over here, you want to disable camera vibration, camera blur, awakening camera, and skill post processing. Actually, wait. Camera distance. Okay, you want to put this at 100 for sure. Like, as much as possible, I like seeing as many things as possible on the screen, right? So this is your max camera setup. So I don't like it up close because I don't see everything, right? It's so hard to see. So default camera is at 100. Okay, so that's our camera settings right here. Oh, oops. How can you control C that? Oh, you can. What's the default on this? Because I only use default. Okay, but anyways, if you want to, you can also do 2.5D. The only problem with this is that it only moves from left to right. So you can't really move your cursor up and down. So I don't like that. So this is just my camera settings right here. Also in game, home UI scale, this is usually at 50. You want to turn it down to 1 so that it's just less clutter on the screen. So it makes the UI so much smaller. These things so much smaller. If only you can just reposition this and put it somewhere higher up here. Would have been better. But anyways, yeah, that's all my settings. That's all my setups. That's all my tech for the Scytheguard. Hope you learned something if you are a Scytheguard main. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if it helps. Comment down below if you have more questions as a Scytheguard main and I'll try to answer them. And I'll see you guys again next time in GG.